Right now, somewhere, two people want the same thing, the same dream, the same healing, the same breakthrough. 10 years from now, one of them will have it, and the other will have a long list of reasons why they couldn't. And here's the strange part: it usually has almost nothing to do with talent or money or luck or good karma. It comes down to something much simpler and much harder. That's what I want to talk about today. What stands between you and what you want isn't your limits. It's whether you're willing to fight them, and that comes down to one question: how badly you want it. The person who breaks through, the person who succeeds, whether in material terms or spiritual terms, because this podcast is usually about both, that person has a name in ancient India and the Hindu traditions. And I really like that name and I want to use it. It's called a Vira. And we can translate it loosely to a warrior, a hero. And there are many, many people in the Hindu Indian culture that's been praised for that quality of being heroic. As a matter of fact, the founder of Jainism, which is one of the most ancient religions of the world, is called Mahavira or Mahavir, which basically means the great hero. Mahavir has been told to have fasted for months till he almost died before he realized the truth or become enlightened. Same thing happened to Buddha. Buddha is a great example of determination and the spirit of not giving up. After many years of austerities, he almost became all skin and bones. And one day he decides that I'm going to sit under this tree, and until I experience the ultimate truth, I'm not going to give up. That's the spirit. He said, I'm going to either die or experience the truth. And guess what happened? Gautama became a Buddha, which means awakened one. There have been many other people like that, both in spiritual as well as material realms of life. It's been said that Thomas Edison has tried over 1,000 different solutions to create the light bulb. And when a journalist asked him sarcastically, aren't you going to give up? You have tried thousands of things. People are making fun of you. He said, I didn't fail 1,000 times. I found 1,000 ways to not invent the light bulb. That's the difference of the perspective and attitude. The people like Edison, they were determined. This is one of the most important qualities of being a warrior. A warrior doesn't mean going to war. It means having that attitude to push through the issues that you experience in life. Specifically, I'm here talking about improving yourself. I'm less concerned about the external world because all I know and all wise people know is that when you change this one, when you change yourself, that reflects back to the world. As a matter of fact, all you need to do to change the results that you're getting in life is to change your thinking and your attitude and your actions. That's all you need to change. And they don't come from karma or from astrological influences of the planets or determined by God, in my opinion. They are determined by you. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a fair universe. So a Vira, a hero, a warrior is a person who doesn't give up. The difference between a winner and the loser is this: the loser gives up with whatever excuse that he finds. He decides that's enough. I don't want to continue. And that brings me to the next important thing. If your goal is important enough, then you basically just don't give up till you achieve it. And it's almost guaranteed that you achieve almost any goal if you have that attitude. Something really happens within one when someone makes a decision with determination and says, I will do this. It's been said in many traditions and religions that when someone has that attitude, the whole universe supports them. The whole universe is behind you, supporting you when you say, I have to do this and I will do it no matter what. The worst thing that you can do in success, whether materially or spiritually, is to being half-hearted. Majority of the spiritual traditions and religions have named two forces in the universe that pull you in opposite directions. Some religions called one the ego, some said it's the Satan. In Zoroastrianism, they said one is Ahura or the divine, and one is Ahriman or the equivalent of the Satan. And in some other traditions, they said it's your karma, it's your limited belief, it's your limitation. Whatever it is, we know that when you want to change, something usually holds you back. Not in every area of life, but in many areas. You want to change your routine or your habits, you want to wake up earlier. Most people find it very difficult. If you used to just wake up at 9 and then you want to change it to wake up at 6 a.m., it takes a lot of effort. You're not used to sit for 15 minutes of meditation, but you have the desire to work your way up and do it for even 1 hour. Can you do it? Maybe not overnight, but as long as you have the desire and you fight your limitation and your tiredness and your excuses and all those things, then you develop a willpower to break through the limitations. If you do not do that, you always stay limited. It's funny. A lot of people believe in astrology, they believe in predictions and destiny and all those things. And some people say, no, there's no such a thing. Everything is your own creation. But the truth is that it's something between them. And I have talked about this before when I talked about free will. The willpower or free will is neither determined by God, neither determined by you exactly. It's determined by your level of consciousness. The more you are aware, the more power you have to change things. First, you need to become aware of what's wrong, what is limited, what is it that I need to change. First, you need to find the reasons. You need to troubleshoot. You need to find what is messing you up, what is creating the disease, psychological or unhappiness or health issue or lack of success in business. First you find the reason and then you try to work it out, and that's where it takes a lot of effort and willpower. And I can talk a lot about my experiences with spiritual practices, with self-discipline, with martial arts, with meditation, with fasting, and all those things that taught me a lot about willpower. And I love this example that I might have given before. First time I became enlightened about the fact that when you are determined, everything actually becomes easier, but not when you expect that if you're determined, it's going to be easier. If you expect things to be easy, they will become hard. But if you accept that they might be hard, they will become easy. So this is what I learned from fasting. A lot of time in the past, in the beginning, it was very difficult for me to fast even for half a day. But then I worked my way up to days of fasting multiple times since I was a teenager, because that was one of the first tools that I found, and I learned the benefit of it for physical, psychological, and spiritual well-being. It's so powerful. One thing that I learned, and there was an aha moment for me. Suddenly, I found that the days that I tell myself, okay, today I'm going to fast till evening or night or tomorrow. Let's see how it goes. If I feel energetic, I'll just do it. Otherwise, I will break my fast early. I notice a pattern. Whenever I set an intention like that, half heartedly, most of the time I broke my fast because my mind played me. My stomach played me and said, okay, it's enough, you need to go eat now. But whenever I set a firm determination, almost every single time I fasted and it was much easier. This is the power of determination. When you're determined and you say, I'll do this no matter what, you are already preparing yourself for difficulties, subconsciously at least. And when they show up, you don't react them. Because if you expect it to be easy, then it will become much more harder. It's like a lever. It's like when you set your expectation to be easy, it becomes more difficult. It's a mechanism within your mind and your thinking. Another example of the importance of willpower breaking through, especially in spiritual growth. There is a very famous story of Jesus with the disciples in that garden when Jesus told them, don't sleep, stay awake and pray so you don't become tempted. And that has a more spiritual meaning. Stay awake, stay alert. That means self awareness. All of issues of life, all of limitations is because of lack of self awareness. And majority of people don't understand what self awareness means. And I have multiple episodes talking about consciousness, awareness, and self awareness. Please go and watch them. They will give you a lot of good information. When you develop self awareness, when you watch your mind and your body and your emotions in real time, that's self monitoring in real time. I was talking to a friend and I was explaining the difference between these two actually because he was dealing with the same thing. There is difference between analyzing yourself after things happen, you're journaling and things like that, and you catch yourself when you're thinking about something, when you are going to react something, when you are going to get upset or angry. And a lot of spirituality and a lot of personal development in terms of making yourself stronger and better is about this, to be able to develop that attitude, that skill to catch yourself when you are going to get angry or react in a negative way or whatever. Because the whole spirituality is about becoming more aware. As a matter of fact, have you ever thought about why human beings are called human beings? Why aren't they called human doings? It's only the humans that are called human beings. We don't say cat beings or dog beings because the humans have the ability, if they exercise it, to determine how they want to be. It's only human beings that have this ability. According to many sciences and spiritual traditions, the animals might even be more perfect in many ways than us, but they don't have that conscious control over their behavior or emotions. But we have the ability to reprogram ourselves. You can decide to change your attitude towards something. You can decide to be hateful or forgiving. You can decide to be loving. You can ultimately decide to be joyful, happy, ecstatic, or being miserable. I'm not saying it's an easy thing, and I'm not saying it can happen overnight, even though it can, but at least we know that you can get there if you work on yourself. That brings me to one of the other most important things that I wanted to say, that the most important thing that you can do in your life is not to earn more degrees or money or find better relationships or invest your money here or there or invest your time somewhere else. The greatest investment that you can make is to invest in yourself. So when you invest in making yourself more aware, practicing more awareness, and then fighting your limitations, fighting your laziness, troubleshooting and resolving your issues, your health issues, your financial issues, your behavioral issues, your addictions, your habits. That makes you more powerful, let alone what happens and what you achieve after you do something, you exercise willpower and all those things. The most important thing that happens again is that you become more powerful, that you become a stronger human being. Even neuroscience has found many things that proves when you exercise willpower and when you don't give up, you will change, you become a stronger person. For many years, the neuroscientists that study the brain, they thought that the brain doesn't change till the theory of neuroplasticity was discovered. And they found that your brain changed with your thinking and actions. So when you repeatedly overcome a difficulty, let's say waking up early or fasting, your brain wires in a different way that makes it easier to do even harder things. There is a small section in the brain that's called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. And research suggests something fascinating about it. It appears to grow larger and more active in people who regularly make themselves to do hard things, things that they don't like. There was a great Sufi, I think it was Bayezid Bastami, one of the greatest Sufis and enlightened masters who ever lived. And they asked him, how did you become so great or enlightened? And he said, whatever my ego asked me to do, I did the opposite of it. So the science says that people who avoid difficulties seems to have a smaller anterior cingulate cortex. And in yogic traditions where the different mechanisms of human being is explained, the third eye, which is the pineal gland in some way, is directly associated with willpower. And yogis knew this by experience thousands of years ago. And the term for this chakra, the third eye or the pineal gland in yoga, is called Agya chakra. Basically, it means the center of command. Most people think that dopamine is the brain's reward chemical, but the research shows it's actually more about pursuit and reward. Dopamine fires to keep you moving towards a goal, to fuel the chase itself. So when you set your mind on a goal and you're committed, your brain literally is supporting you to achieve it. There is an entire field of science called Psychoneuroimmunology, and they study how the thoughts affect the immune system. And it's very real. Your thoughts, your stress levels, your sense of purpose measurably change your body's defenses. In one well known study, people who completed an 8-week meditation program produced noticeably a stronger antibody response to a flu vaccine than people who hadn't done the program. So when you set your mind firmly on something, you're not just changing your mood, you're sending signals all the way down to your immune system. The current level of our collective consciousness and understanding makes us believe that we are a flesh and bone human being and everything is determined by the play of the material structure of the body and chemistry and all those things. But we have enough science to show that mind over matter is real. There have been thousands of books written on the subject with so many experiments and conclusions. And we know very well from many of the yogic sciences, ancient sciences, even modern hypnotism. There's a lot of studies that been done. For example, they hypnotize someone into a deep state of hypnosis and they said, okay, we're going to touch your hand with a hot iron. And then they touched his hand with a ruler or a pen. And the guy's body literally burned because his mind really believed that It's being touched by hot iron. Your mind can really do that to you. I have even heard about the story of experiments that was done in prisons at some point. They wanted to experiment how much mind can influence the body. Someone was going to be executed. They closed his eyes and said that we're just going to kill you by cutting your veins on your hand and letting you lose blood. And then they closed his eyes so he couldn't see, and they tied his hand and they put a cold thing on his hand, and he thought that they're cutting his hand, and then they run a little water on his hand and on the floor or something like that, and then the guy literally died thinking that he's losing blood. There are many stories like this. If you search for it, you'll find thousands of such stories. So if your mind can kill you, your mind can also heal you. Your mind can also change your destiny. But what does determine that? Your willpower. How can you make your willpower stronger to change your destiny? Because that's the single most important thing. To be heroic, to not give up. It all depends on how much determined you are, how much willpower you have. When you meditate, when you go against your limitations, when you try to wake up earlier, when you fast, when you push through obstacles, your brain becomes larger, your power grows, you become stronger. In spiritual terms, not only you become stronger to control the outcome of your immediate things like your body or pushing through a difficulty based on universal spiritual principles. When you develop strong willpower, you can manifest things faster, because I have experienced this miracle in my life. There are thousands of examples of it that people have experienced it. Obviously, this is not something scientific that I can prove, but it's real that when you are determined, the universe responds to you. The universe helps you. The universe sends you support. Sometimes I experienced this miracle to a point that my mind was completely blown out. I couldn't even understand what's happening. But I know when my whole being, 100% of my being, my thoughts and my subconscious and everything, my emotions are all aligned, and I say, I want this and I will do this, the doors open. So I will recap this episode in a way that you can take it home. So we talked and explained that the difference between someone who succeeds and someone who fails is in their determination in many ways. And I know that there are some people that are going to come and say, okay, but there are many factors here. And I know that. If I want to explain everything in detail, I have to record a 10 hours podcast. But I'm talking about the one principle that the spiritual traditions talked about, that when you are determined, universe changes for you. It responds in a different way to you. Science shows that your body changes. So before you can even develop willpower, you have to change your mindset. You have to change your attitude. And for doing that, you need to practice more self-awareness. And when you become self-aware, when you see your patterns, and when you are able to interrupt the cycle of negative thoughts and emotions, which can be achieved by regular practice of meditation, and you become a more conscious human being, that's where you can interrupt the process of the limitations and negativity. When a thought comes and says, get angry, when a thought comes and says, there's no other way, just give up, go do something else, try a new business, this is not going to work. You can interrupt it. You can question the thought. You can exercise more willpower. Remember that your soul is a warrior. You can break through the limitations. Obviously, the principle of art of balance, which I wrote this book about it, also is important here. There is a section in the book that I talk about healthy willpower and your desire for success versus sacrificing yourself. There is no good and bad about it. I, as a spiritual seeker, and from the tradition that I come from, my mindset is that even if I push myself a little bit more, as long as I'm not harming myself, even if I get very close to the edge, it's fine for me. But for other people, the decision is yours. I'm not saying sacrifice your health for success. I'm not saying if you cannot exercise 1 hour a day, suddenly decide to force your body to work with you and exercise 1 hour a day. But I'm also saying that if your mind is 100% determined, that's also possible, but for very few number of people who have that type of determination. For most of us, we have to use the principle of the compound effect, the gradual improvement, that says we do small actions every day and we increase it. Starts from exercising 5 minutes. If you want to do it even for 1 minute, do it. But you can increase 1 minute a day or a week and get to 1 hour. That's possible for everybody. So I'm not another motivational speaker here to bullshit you to say, yeah, you can achieve everything and you can do it and all those kind of stuff. I'm saying the science and the spiritual traditions say if you develop your determination and willpower and one pointedness of the mind, you can achieve anything. But that thing that you want to achieve must be in alignment with the good of you and everybody else that is involved. If you want to achieve something that is too selfish and egoistic in a way that harms other people, that's not going to happen. Universe is not going to support you. When you decide that I want this and your mind is one pointed, when you decide that I don't want to be sick or I want to be healed, a better way to put it, and you work your way towards it, when you are willing to even go to 10 more doctors, to 1,000 more solutions, when you're willing to experiment with new things, when you're willing to try different methods to heal yourself, when your business fails and you do it better, when you start a new business, when you try a different solution, when this type of exercise doesn't work for you and you really gave it your best and you try a different type of exercise, as long as you don't give up and you keep trying and you have faith in yourself that you can do it, everything is possible for you. You hear a lot of motivational speakers, they just create excitement in you and then you become excited and next day all the motivation is gone. We don't want to live by temporary excitement. We need the commitment, the willpower to do things. As long as you have that understanding based on these sciences, based on this knowledge, this wisdom that I explained, that everything is possible for you, you do it with all of your heart, not half-heartedly, and you're determined that it's possible for you, it can happen. And I love a quote from Rumi. There is a long poem by Rumi that explains about the greatness of love. Very beautiful poem. And at the end, he says something that it is shocking. At the end, he says that love is also the product of knowledge. What does he mean by that? He was a lover. He was a crazy lover person. But he says, even to understand that love is the greatest thing, that comes out of knowledge. So, in the same way, even to be determined, even to be self aware, even to break through, even to develop your willpower, even to make a spiritual progress, a lot of it can come for a lot of people by more understanding that this is what I need to do. I was talking to a friend a while back about giving up some addictions, and I didn't try to just tell him this is bad, don't do it. I gave him a lot of science over the course of months, honestly. I sent him a lot of information. I talked to him, tried to explain how this behavior or addiction is counterintuitive, is opposite of where he wants to be in his life, based on the science of Ayurveda or the ancient science of medicine in India, based on neuroscience and modern science, based on psychology. I said, man, this is the science. This is the exact thing mentioned in all different places from 5,000 years ago to modern studies. This is what this addiction is doing to you. It's your choice. And, you know, that is much more helpful if you can really make a person understand why they need to do something or don't do something. But where we fail, and where I also fail a lot of time, which is a big challenge, is to be able to communicate something to someone, because it's different that you understand something and you explain it and someone really understanding what you're saying. So always have faith in yourself. Know that you are a spark of divine, God. The power of universe is within you. Whatever you think, it really manifests in your life. If you say, no, I'm a poor guy, I'm a weak person, this is me, my traumas and my past determine me, and this is how my life is going to be, the universe says, all right, we'll give more of that to you. That's why Jesus said, whoever has will be even given more, and they will have abundance. And who doesn't have, even what they have will be taken from them. And this has a deep spiritual meaning, because if you say, I'm broke, I'm weak, I can't do this, I can't do this, universe is like a mirror. Universe is going to say, okay, let's give him more of that. Let's recreate that for him. The truth is that you are recreating your life every second, but you keep recreating the same past. If you change your awareness and your mind and your attitude and exercise your willpower and especially change your mindset and think differently, you will create something else. You will create a different you. You are the pure consciousness, the soul, the spirit, whatever you want to call it, the divine spark behind what happens in this life and this body and mind. That's your true power. If you realize that you're not limited by it, and if you study it and understanding it better and you practice it, you'll get closer to that divine power. Even Jesus said that you were all created in the image of God. And all of the Eastern traditions said that the God is within you and can only be experienced within you. There is no such a thing as experiencing God outside of you. Not that experiencing God outside is not possible. That's also possible, because everything is God and God is infinite and can be experienced everywhere. But only when you experience God within yourself, you can become free. Because as long as you think, I am this limited, broke human being with all these limitations, and there is God sitting there, you are still separate and limited. But what if the God that you're seeking is really within you? So I want to close this session by a beautiful quote from Samuel Beckett about this whole willpower and the attitude of not giving up. He says, ever tried, ever failed? No matter. Try again, fail, fail better. So, my friends, have faith in yourself and invest all of your time and energy as much as possible in making yourself better, and discovering the infinite divinity, wisdom, and love within you. Thanks for listening.